Sorry about. We're still good. We're still 7:34. Okay. Well, anyway, thank you. This is good. Thank you for applying. And just remind me. So, what? How long ago have you found out about our work?
Um, so I've been following for probably over a year now, probably closer to
Okay.
two. TZM, I don't know if you've heard of them, Zeitgeist Movement.
Yeah.
There's
Yeah.
some
Yeah. Of course.
individuals in there that are that just post different solutions that are available, and that are around
Hmm.
that people are working on, and the OSE was really interesting to me, just making hardware things that are more practical in nature. Like I've been kind of going along the track of we need boots on ground. We need to get something going, and you can have all the ideas and all the ambition and
Hmm.
all the idealism, but until it's put into some physicality or something
Yeah.
tangible, it doesn't help so much, you know.
Yeah. Exactly. Exactly. So we're definitely the boots on the ground. Like that's
Literally, like
like TZM. Yeah. Great. But what's your program? That kind of
right.
stuff.
And
Ah.
there's some smart,
I don't wanna.
intelligent guys there. It's just,
Yeah.
you know, there's got to be the work component to it as well.
Yeah, yeah. So anyway, so regarding the work component, so diving right in here. Um, First, maybe let me ask you. So, did you have a period of time where you kind of got radicalized and just started looking at, okay, what's the state of the world, or has it been gradual for you, or is this like you said, since a year ago you found out about this? Were you on this kind of path for a long time, or is this new to you?
I think even when I was younger, I've always
Hmm.
kind of questioned why things were the way they were. When I was going to
Yeah,
school, obviously you know how the education system is. You memorize facts, you rinse, you
yeah,
repeat, and you know enough to graduate, but then you don't use anything, or you're overemployed, underemployed, whatever.
yeah.
So when I became an adult, it just became more clear to me that this is wrong. This is not the way we should be doing things. But people just have to do what they have to do. They can only work from their own particular viewpoint and level of understanding. And even if they do understand, they're like me. They get up and go to work, and
Mm.
you know,
You've been at this for since you graduated, what, like 5 years? How many years you've been in the world
so
of
I'm
software?
30 now. So I've been in the computer science, the IT technology industry for about 10 years now.
10 years now.
Yep.
Um, so the company, so you start a company. Do you work for yourself, or do you are you employed by someone?
So I did start an LLC.
Hmm.
I wrote a few things out about what the LLC was supposed to be. I just went ahead and did the documentation and got it official. But I
Hmm.
wanted to I did want to make change. I wanted to figure out how I could help. I wanted to work with nonprofits in the web development and
I saw
the
that. Yeah,
yeah, that type of
saw
space.
that
So
language. Hmm.
I haven't really been able to do that. I've tried to, and then I have to go to work, so there's not really much time between me working and then trying to meet with people during the same business hours. So that's the first thing. Um,
Yeah,
right now I'm on 1099 contract, so I'm essentially paying myself and paying for my own insurance through my LLC, and that's
yeah,
how that works now.
yeah. Actually, the way we're looking at it is when we train people, it's we actually favor that people set up their own enterprises and we collaborate as a movement. I feel that that's the most entrepreneurial route that allows most growth of the movement as a whole, as a distributed organizations. So instead of trying to centralize as an org, so there is definitely innovation on the organizational front. How do I actually get this movement spread worldwide?
Right.
But it's interesting. But let me ask you this: so are you from the immersion apprenticeship? Are you actually looking to switch into that full time? Is that your goal?
That's something I've been strongly considering. As I mentioned before, I've since the pandemic, I've been able to save. I've been able to be wise with my
Hmm.
money and invest. So I can survive for a while on what I have. But
Hmm.
it's scary. I recently changed jobs as well, so even leaving that job to go to something that was similar that I
Hmm.
knew I could probably get is kind of daunting. You're leaving your lifeline, but that's something I've been thinking about like ever since I sent my submission in. So that's something
Hmm.
now need to decide soon and, prepare. I live with my dad right now, so.
Hmm. Yeah. So during the apprenticeship, would you be working? Can you do that full time, or you do have to continue working on your your current work as
So
well? Like,
I checked the schedule, and your schedule is 8 to 5 on Central Time, I assume. I work
mhm.
from 7 to 3 East Coast time, so that probably won't work. I would just have to save as much money as I could and try to arrange something or figure out another solution with OSE. But OSE is something that I want to participate in, in really any level. The reason why I wanted to become a builder was because I have been looking at land, and
Hmm.
I do want to take part in building it myself, instead of buying something that's already built and I'm subject to the
Hmm.
regulations and codes. I see that there's a lot of push for building eco villages and starting other alternative communities or intentional communities.
Hmm.
So
Yeah.
that was something that I would have liked to see myself participating in the future. But right now it's really about me trying to get the other foot out of the working world. I have one foot in now because I go to work every day, and one foot out, trying to research opportunities, trying to move in the direction of out of the economic cycle, rat race. So
Right. So if you were to say you were to commit the 6 months to full time learning, there's also the enterprise track in the evenings, though. So like after hours, night school is 5:30 to 8 every night. During the Summer of Extreme Design build, those 3 months will be like 5 days a week or so. Initially, during the apprenticeship, the 2 months before will be more like a couple, 2 or 3 times in the evenings too. I mean, it really, if you want to succeed at it, I mean, the thing I would definitely suggest is, okay, you really got to throw yourself into it, because there's a lot of learning. The learning curve is there. If
right,
you, I mean, you basically get the benefit. Like, I've been doing this for a decade here, and now you can get the absolute lowdown of all the learnings in a super short time. But to get the most out of it, you'd have to put in the most time you can during the short time that you're here in the 6 months. I think that's absolutely realistic that you learn to be a builder. If you want to, if we go about doing the CD Go Home Enterprise as a realistic option that can bootstrap fund this, that's an absolute reality. Um, so that's an option. But would you be able to make it work? That, yeah, I mean, when you're here, you're pretty much immersed in it. So otherwise, it's like, I mean, like changing the world. I always say it's not a part-time job, you know.
right, exactly. And I was looking around at that yesterday, so I saw the Summer of
Yeah.
Extreme Design build. So that's a shorter path. There's the remote option. I don't feel like either of those options are necessarily for me. If I'm gonna really do it all, I'll just do the whole training. And once I'm there, I think I'll be fine. I mean, there will be other challenges and other learning curves for me to overcome, but really, right now, I think the main thing is parting ways with this lifestyle. And like I said, I just started working there a few months ago and saying, well,
Mhm.
either you uh, do something later for me, you have me come back, or I just have to leave. You know, and is that something that's financially feasible? Right now, and I think that answer is yes. It's
Are you saying,
it's tough. It's just a tough decision.
yeah? So you're saying, you're thinking that one option is you come in to the program, and then you kind of see what it is, and then you might say, wow, this is like not for me. Or how are you thinking about this? What are you saying exactly?
No, it's serving two masters at once. So I can't
Mm.
remain committed to this and then try to commit to open source ecology. It's right now, at least for the apprenticeship, it's one or the other. And the way I see it, I've been in the industry for long enough. I can find work. I get emails and things all the time. So it's really just something I need to let go of. I don't think that the problem will actually be the on-site and the learning process. I think it's just me finalizing my decision to come out there and doing logistics of being out there. So I also don't own a car. I don't drive. So
Where do you live actually right now? You're in the south?
Henderson, Green Valley, in Nevada.
Okay. Okay, in Nevada. All right. So what are some of the questions? Do you have questions about?
I
any of
did.
this?
Let me pull up my notes.
Hmm.
Give me 1 second.
Yeah.
So that was the main thing. I think it was more around the economic, financial side of things, but that's just something I'll have to work out. Um, what would you recommend about going further into the no car and off grid thing? So I know that you make trips to pick up people once a week, and then there's a certain amount of space in like on site, and then there's the primitive campsite.
Yeah.
So it would just be
Yeah.
a situation where I just come and stay, and then get my groceries or get food on the weekends. And
Yeah, actually, I mean that's all covered. So we're planning on getting someone to cook for the both events, so that we focus on the work, and that's all part of the admission. That's in there. So so you don't necessarily have to have a car. We can pick you up, and I'm sure other people are going to have cars around too, and we have the van to pick people up from the airport, whoever's flying in.
okay,
I
yeah, I
don't know,
just
of course,
did.
we make regular trips to town to get the supplies and all that.
Okay, yeah, I just didn't want that to become a barrier. I mean, if I'm there, then I'm there, and that's how it is. So, what do you think are the biggest challenges for people that come in that are, that are like me, that are just kind of on the fence, that are just really becoming familiar now with OSE?
I, No, I think it's really about the level of commitment. Like if you want to go into the deep dive and you're effectively like pissed at the state of the world and you want to do something about it, and you're like, no, this is unconscionable. If you have that kind of attitude, then you'll be great here. I think otherwise it's like if you don't see the purpose, the deep purpose of why this is going on and the potential of it, if you cannot connect to it, that I would say is the biggest block, because if you don't have the why, then you're not going to do the what we're doing. You really have to be, I would say, philosophically motivated to do that, because it's going to be a different work. I mean, people call it that it's super hard, and you might say that. I think for me, I guess, as a leader of this and not giving up, like basically saying, hey, here's a new program for society, and everyone says you're smoking and stuff like that.
Like you think who's gonna do this right?
And then it's like, dude, this is obvious. This is not my destiny's been written out as far as what needs to happen for the world. If you think about it, so I'm a meditator. I meditate, so I pretty much kind of get my mind and motivations clear. So that's kind of how I arrive at these things. Just basically saying, I'm disconnecting from the mainstream system and all the indoctrination there to see, okay, what is really important, what's meaningful, where does society have to go? And from those kinds of questions, the current purpose for me arises. And I have that, and that's, that's unstoppable, right? But a person who comes into this, I think just the motivation, like, why are you doing this? What's your purpose? That I would say is the biggest block. Because I mean, after all, we're not doing anything different. We eat food, we sit on a computer, we work on machines, we design things. It's the same stuff that anyone else does. But I think maybe the framework with which it's done, you have to be an independent thinker, I would say, to do that. And especially at the pioneering time, that may be a challenge for people. But once we have gigantic traction and economic business models that are just growing like crazy, then it's obvious these guys are succeeding even in the economic system of today. So
Right.
I think at this time we're positioned to double. I think what's going to happen from now on is we're going to double every year. We're at like 100 or 200,000 per year right now. I mean, we're like a shoestring budget operation. We make revenue from the workshops, but
labor of love.
Yeah, and it's like, it's not a problem. I mean, our budget to date has been, just for transparency on that, it's like only like 1.5 million bucks over the last decade or so, from foundations. And then first we started on crowdfunding. Basically, I had like $30,000 in savings. I burnt it all pretty quick, learning stuff that I thought I knew. I just burned it all away. Then I said, "Oh, let me do some crowdfunding here. Cool. Oh, it works. Awesome."
Right. Other people see the
and then started to actually run the workshops and produce the machines. So, we did our first production run of machines a long time ago. I think it was like 2010 or so. Made like 25,000 bucks from sales there. Then started doing training workshops. So the revenue model right now is it has been machine sales and training workshops. That's basically what we do. We're in the business of education. When we produce things, we also organize education events around it. But as far as psychologically speaking, just to finish off the thought on what the mindset is. So we know that software has dominated the industry, and anyone who's smart, they will collaborate on software, even though they do the open core, and then they privatize the products that come from it. So it's obvious, we make the best products by collaborating. Now, that's completely unheard of for hardware, right? And nobody thinks that can be done. For me, it's inevitable that will happen, simply because it's an efficient way to design and build.
Right.
So as the economy moves towards higher and higher efficiency, that's just an inevitable part that emerges. The fact that, now people collaborate on hardware, because you don't want to have like 1,000 different cars. If you can collaborate all to make one car that's the best.
Right.
Like, for example, there's no such thing as a good diesel engine. Like, everyone has got some fault that you can point to. So the idea is very simple. It's like, why not collaborate and actually make the best thing?
Right.
Hello? The logic is obvious, but and that's exactly what we're doing. We're saying, hey, Joshua, come over. People, come on over. We're going to develop products that dominate the marketplace. We have a name for that. It's called distributed market substitution. Basically, you get people to collaborate, and then that best product is distributed to microfactories worldwide, just like software has run on top of computers, and that's succeeded with software.
Right.
So that promise is very clearly the next $1 trillion economy. It's bigger than Google and Amazon and all of that. Now, people don't know that yet, but for us, that's what we're just saying. Hey, we're just going to do that. We're moving our way, just mind our own business, moving along that direction, and that's the kind of attitude you have to have. It's to say, okay, we're collaborating. And so the requirement for you is, okay, so we're going to be developing the release of the house.
The seed.
For seed eco home, which we're building for clients. We're upping our game on a compressed earth block press, which we sell, but we could make a robust business out of that. We can up our game on the 3D printer business, which we sell, but we can have a real business that scales to many, many people worldwide. We can up our game on tractors, which all the things I mentioned are multi-billion-dollar industries.
Right. Like
that for time. Yeah.
And it's all already there. Like, people are going to have to at some point take back more responsibility and more control over the lives that they live. And the easy way is just reporting in and coming back and saying that you can buy this or buy that. And being able to have this means you can step away from all of that and really work on innovating and really work on making a change. And that's the other thing. This is the bigger picture. It's a liberator. This is a liberator of people, putting power back into people's hands. Like, 3D printing is huge, but people just need to be able to spend more time on being creative. Thingiverse is out there.
I don't know if the word liberator is accidental here, but that's what we call our brick press. It's called the liberator.
Yeah, I think I did see that.
Because it liberates you from the biggest cost in your life, which is housing.
Right.
Hence the name. But yeah, that's exactly right. I think people talk about circular economies, and kind of transitioning to the next economy. We know that there's social problems, and now the huge political divisions that are based on resentment of further class divisions,
Right.
instead of everyone getting a fair shot. So I think we've got solutions that are inevitable, and the idea is that to get people like yourself around that mindset to actually find, hey, there's purpose in it, and I'll do it. And there's not a question whether that will work financially. Like, I think with a CDECO home, it's who else is going to build you $100,000 house? It's the model that, okay, just to explain the model, 50,000 in materials,
Right.
and we charge 50,000 for the build fee. Then there's land and other costs like hookups, but you're not going to get a house at that price point anywhere. So we have an advantage of, say, like 2x or at least 50% over anyone else. So are we going to succeed? You tell me. We're going to
Right.
create it.
Exactly. I actually saw that option and I considered it at first. I saw about the home and I was saying to myself like, well, I could just about go ahead and get this started right now. I just need the land to plop it on and just have
Yeah,
people come out and help. But then I want to be a part of the build too and part of the movement because what I'm doing has no real purpose for me anyway. The purpose is to just collect, go in, do my like, and I take pride in my work. Don't get me wrong, but
right.
that's the sole motivation is to make the money and keep on surviving and paying rent and you know nothing else
Yeah,
really is interesting. That's
yeah,
the main thing for me as well is looking for something to grow into. Right now, I'm just kind of here, and you know,
yeah. I mean, just looking at you, like looking at like your situation, it's like I would immediately say, give it a try, see where we are in 6 months. Where the thing to emphasize is there's a lot of development. Like, for example, for the CDECO home, we're going to do a first in the world, I believe. It's nobody has a full digital model of a complex device like a house. That means thousands upon thousands. We're talking down to every screw and in the digital model, like here's your water heater, here's everything, absolutely everything.
wow,
Now, you're not going to do that. No company is going to be crazy enough to do that. We
right,
are, because we're going to say we're doing a crowd collaborative event. We're actually doing it's going to be August or September, um, but we're going to do this huge hackathon where we work on that. We do the full digital model, full BOM, full instructionals, and full. We're going to use icons to show like a graphical language of how you represent every single part. It's very easy to use like pattern. I don't know if you've ever heard of pattern language, what pattern language is, but iconized pattern language where you can represent everything using icons. So between the complete exhaustive documentation, like we capture the entire build of every single module that's built in parallel, say in 5 days, with all those assets, we're going to just swarm. And the goal right now is 6,000 people over 3 days. So we're going to have to do a major marketing push for that. But
okay,
in that kind of time, you can talk about a serious publication, which will be an enterprise guide for how you actually run an enterprise like that. So just to give you an example, if you take a look at, there's the bill of materials, you can analyze the video for build time and workflows. You can come up with business models for that. And we're proposing a certain kind of business model, which is the high value of the build time compression using the swarm builds, pending, which can work pending the inspection schedules, because you still have to conform to an inspection schedule that's for a given location. If
right,
there's no codes, then you can just go 5 days straight because nobody's checking you. If you have codes, you're gonna have the inspector come. Okay, here's the foundation, here's the framing, whatever electrical. So you'll be interrupted by the schedule whenever the inspector can come out there. But yeah, that's the value. But the idea there is what I'm emphasizing is the amount of development. Like the one thing I found out over the years is that it takes amazing amount of development to get something full. And why nobody succeeds in hardware so far. Well, the 3D printers have succeeded, but nobody noticed, and they
right.
more or less went proprietary largely. Like with MakerBot, I don't know if you ever heard of MakerBot.
Yeah, I happen to Creality Ender 3, and then there's the RepRap printer. I was just like, I can just print out more printers now and parts, and I
Yeah,
just never really got familiar with the 3D printer, so
yeah.
now, just sits in closet. and I don't have any room to
Right,
put it
and then
anywhere. Like, it's,
so like
it's
the
sad.
practicalities being here, like, okay, now oh yeah, well, you can actually take that same technology and you can start reprocessing waste plastic for actual building panels that we use in a house. So, but once again, all these things are development that take a lot of time and effort, and that's why we're saying, um, we're in order to do what we call the distributed market substitution, that's a lot of work, and I think it will happen because only in a collaborative context, because no company, even the biggest companies, are going to have enough budgets to go through that kind of due diligence, where a lot of it is about open documentation, which it's not in their interest. They don't do that.
Right.
uh, but they're not a distributed enterprise. They're about concentrating capital further into certain
Be
people's hands.
be able to offer warranties, be able to be in control of the process, and still kind of maintain some kind of ownership over the product even after you bought it.
Yeah, like with the tractors that the tractor companies own, you can't repair your own tractor, things like that. That's common news. I don't know, you've heard about that stuff?
I think
Where,
I read something about like the proprietary parts as well. Like you can only buy this particular wheel for this particular tractor. So it's not just
yeah,
modular. You know.
yeah, yeah. When you look into the details of all of that, it's quite inefficient, and that's why we're saying, hey, we can produce better, faster, stronger, cheaper, and break that the iron triangle of quality, speed, and cost. And that's what we do. That's our business. But anyway, as far as whether, I mean, I would say for you, try it and give it a try, and then see where you're at. I mean, I think you have a safety net in that, given that you appear to have a skill set that's highly valuable. If you want to go back into the old life, this is not for you, then you can. But I think you want to give it an honest shot as far as what's a possibility. So, but yeah, I mean, it's up to you to.
What other what other things would you recommend that I study? Like I know there's civil engineering. I've wanted to study electrical engineering as well. I dropped out of college as well, so I'm in school now. I'm in University of the People, getting my computer science degree. So
Oh,
that's
really?
also something. Just doing a class here and there while I'm working. So
So you educated yourself on the programming part?
yeah, well, I've known how to program since I was when I was young. So I did 3 years, and then I you know, the years of the partying and kind of not taking it seriously caught up. So
Yeah.
be honest
Well,
about it.
unfortunately, yeah. I mean, the thing that, like, I don't recommend the way school is right now, because it's disciplinary, unless you select some kind of a highly interdisciplinary program. If you go back to school, to me, it's almost like causing trouble, because you learn a discipline, but without knowing how it connects to everything else, you cannot be a responsible citizen in society. So that's why what we're doing is what we're doing here, is that you get a flavor of, okay, here's enterprise, here's builds, here's engineering, here's psychology, and here's all the disciplines, and ecology, and all of this that make for an integrated perspective on how something works. So the thing that, I mean, I got all the way up to a PhD, but I felt that totally got down this complete rabbit hole, and unless one learns the breadth of the disciplines, it's troubling. And you can't study something, but what's going to happen is, okay, so you're going to study that, but
Right.
the way we treat it here is, no, study like the breadth, and once you know one discipline, you're going to see how, oh yeah, it's just in another discipline, it's the same thing but with a different spin on it. So you're going to be able to learn so much faster when you take on the interdisciplinary approach. It's like, we really believe in this creation of genius as also like I mentioned, collaborative creation of genius. I mean, we have to talk about the best information made accessible in the most rapid time. Unfortunately, when you go to school, you only get the second best, because the best is proprietary.
Right.
So, I mean, I'm like quite pessimistic about it, because, like, if you go into school that's part of a mechanism that, yes, it brings you up some, but it systematically depresses the peak performance of entire societies.
Yeah, but
And
then
that's like
the thing is
unreal.
where does it bring? It only brings you up to me. It seems economically, and I wanted to go back to finish just because I don't know. Maybe it feels like it's something I'm supposed to do, or maybe I feel like I'm working towards something instead of just grinding every day, you know. But that's how I felt about it, and I do like the interdisciplinary approach. So studying programming, you have to learn the back end
Yeah.
and how everything ties together, and how to deploy servers. You need to learn about security and networking. All of that I have under my belt to some degree, and then I have other interests as well. I mean, like electrical engineering. There's data science that, like you said, the herbalism, the allopathic way of treating people versus the holistic way of treating people and health and disease. You're exactly right.
Yeah. I'm not sure what the best, like if you look at what's the best program out there for interdisciplinary information. The idea would be that you kind of create your own program that borrows from a lot of disciplines, because each discipline kind of has its own bias. Like, in the world of science, like, for example, the stuff I was studying, it's like we never talked about, oh, well, I kind of jumped out of the fusion world once. So I started doing presentations about fusion. Yeah, we're going to save the world. People brought out, what about the radioactivity? And I started thinking and stuff. Oh yeah, what
What
about
about
it?
that? Yeah.
And then thinking about that more, I kind of concluded back, okay, that's, we're not there until we have a responsible society. We're not going to be responsible to do fusion right yet. We got to
Right.
learn to collaborate first. So maybe save that for later. And for now, let's work with solar panels or photovoltaics, which can do more than we ever need. So things like that. So yeah, it's always about trying to get a more integrated perspective, which I don't think, I don't know who does a really great job at this. I don't know, like, so you've got the elite institutions, but they're all about proprietary and all of that. Like, they're not working for a better world. I went to Princeton. I was grossly disappointed at kind of people I met. I mean, I got pretty depressed like the first 2 years until I kind of figured it out. But just people are. I didn't like it. My experience was pretty bad, because I was expecting all these dreamers and people who were talking about a better world, and it wasn't about that. So instead, it was the breeding ground for the power structure of the world.
Right. Exactly.
So got to do a little better than that. So I can't give, I can't, like, I should maybe think about it and say, well, what is the best example of an interdisciplinary kind of program that actually tries to go at it um, in an authentic way?
I
Don't know the
just
answer to that one yet.
Yeah, I just try to do the best I can by myself. I mean, there's no certificates or degrees or accolades, but I know what I know, and I'm able to help where I can, and
Hmm.
that's really it. All of the other stuff is to get a job and to work.
Yeah. But the real question would be, like, if you feel comfortable, like, we know that there's money to be made on items of big value, and the question is, are we willing to believe in that and make it work? So it really has to be an entrepreneurial attitude. Like, we're going to teach you some skills.
Right.
Question is, okay, can you do something with that?
Can you
Can we
use
do
the
something?
skills? Right.
But it's not about, like, can you, it's like we are, the mind shift is we are actually all collaborating on that model. Like, the other day I was thinking, how do we, like, for example, I outsourced a couple of things, like admin things, through Fiverr and stuff. But question is, okay, so sharing all the inside of the business knowledge, like, we publish everything, right? So okay, so start publishing. Okay, here are good people you can work with. Here's this resource and that resource. So you absolutely open source all the insights to make the job better for everybody, and that's how we operate. So the idea is, if you believe that, can you do better by yourself, or can you actually do better by resource sharing in a completely open environment? We invite everybody to that. And of course, like, if you want to get the immersion training, you have to spend the time and invest in that quite a bit. But our boundaries are very open, because we think that that's the best way to go in terms of efficiency of development. And so we develop processes all around trying to involve the whole world in that kind of work. But I mean, if you're comfortable in that kind of environment and you actually believe the idea that, okay, collaboratively, we're actually going to do it. I personally, I mean, I must share that last year I kind of had this revelation of, I really shed the cross of Jesus, like you have to do it all yourself kind of deal. I have a mentor that kind of pointed that out, that it's like, look, man, you got this big vision. Like, I was challenged on how to collaborate truly openly. So at that point I said, yeah, it's like, no, I don't have to do this myself. It's like, this program is a manifestation of that. It's like, no, I'm not doing this myself. I'm going to do a little part of it, but it's the whole world that's going to make it better and contribute to that. So my mission is to create that environment where that does happen, and that's how we roll. So essentially, it's the mind shift of the collaborative mindset, which it's like, no, you don't have to worry about carrying the burden of the world. You know, you're just a part of it, and you can truly collaborate openly with others. So that's the kind of mindset that's missing in today's world, and that's what we're cultivating with things like the apprenticeship. Yep.
Okay. I'd want to say that I do want to give it a go. I don't know if you have to take that officially now, or but I know the program is starting in 50 days, so it's a month and almost 2 months away. But
yeah.
Taking
so that. Yeah. So basically, like, I mean, you seem like a good guy that you definitely could. I think you can learn the skill sets. You're already successful in what you do right now. You're definitely questioning. Like the idea is, are you questioning things, and do you want to just keep learning for your whole life? Like, are you really about, if there's a problem in an entrepreneurial way, I up my skill set and I solve problems, and that's how I roll in life. So if you have that kind of attitude, this is definitely for you. If this is about lifelong learning and challenging yourself to be the best, and basically trying to bring everybody up along to that level. Right. That's how we're going to change the world. You got to make knowledge and know-how readily accessible. So the core of what we do is we develop our stuff, but we try to bring everybody along to that level at the same time.
Right, so, and have the humility and keep on enriching your own skill set as well. You know, just being the teacher, but also still being a student.
Yeah, so I look forward to learning quite a bit from everybody, and it's what to say about the learning opportunity. It's I think I can learn the fastest only in an open environment, because I've been like, actually my perspective on rapid learning comes from my PhD program. I was not able to talk openly about the work that I was doing, and when I thought about that, it's like, man, that was such a waste. Like, I'm not learning the best I could because people are not telling me their best details, because everyone's keeping stuff to themselves in case somebody else takes it and gets a grant and writes a grant for that and stuff like that. Because we had some hot material that we were publishing, and but it's like, when you think about it, it's all so inefficient, and this competitive waste is so crazy, and that's just the world we live in. And then of course with collaboration, what we work on is to eliminate collaborative waste, because if you don't know how to collaborate, you're not going to get anywhere in collaboration either. Right. That's a rigorous skill set.
Okay.
Yeah, so I would definitely say, you're welcome to join the program. If you next step would be pay up.
Right. No, you gotta talk about the. No, that's fine. So I would just need to work out logistics and kind of see how July 1st, right? July 1st looks.
July 1st is the date, so we'll be picking up people. What date is that? I thought it was like a Wednesday. July 1st is Thursday. We pick you up Wednesday in the evening. We prefer picking up everybody who's flying in the evening. So on Thursday morning, you're gonna learn to design and build like a pro, starting day one.
Just as soon as you put your boots on the ground over here, it's on.
Well, Yeah, we're going to start basically the most of the program goes with we get 1 hour of design lessons about designing things, and then we actually practice. So whatever we're going to be building, like tractors or aquaponic greenhouses or houses or infrastructure, we're going to do a lot of time designing, because it's all about, you can only design as fast as the prior art that's available. So we
Right.
publish, we continue evolving. We'll work from existing files and we'll continue improving them and uploading them. And then Fridays are more like infrastructure builds. Saturdays are all global collaboration days. So we're doing publishing, like video, work on collaborative protocols that involve the worldwide community, such as organizing the hackathon that we're going to play out. There's two major things. One is the hackathon, and the second one is a HeroX incentive challenge. So we're looking up at posting a large design challenge prize, and that would be for the large printer and waste plastic recycling infrastructure, so that we can actually leverage the whole community to help us get that materials printing 3D printer for the panels. Like in this house, this house I live in, it's a panelized house. This is actually the Seat Home 1 I'm in right now.
Okay.
But that's, we're going to, as we learn in the program, we're going to leverage the global community as much as we can, and that is through this major hackathon and the HeroX incentive challenge that we're going to deploy all around that time, August, September. So, yeah.
Okay.
So it's not just our, I mean, we're on the side, of course, we're got boots on the ground, but we've learned how to do a lot of different things through remote collaboration, and especially leveraging the large collaborative design processes over the internet, and then on site leveraging the collaborative swarm builds.
Okay. And then so what does it look like after graduation? Post graduation, you've learned all
Yeah.
the skills, you've been through a couple of the events, and you've had the enterprise training at night, to figure out some of the finer
So
points of.
the, the way I'm looking at this is, and this is all up for grabs still, if you want to change that, but I'm thinking that December. So December, we finished December 20. But the idea there would, at that time, actually to incorporate the organizations. We might do some final publishing projects, but the idea is, if you pick up the skill set, collaborate as partners. So we'd like you to set up your own enterprises, such as LLCs or other things. You're welcome to do things like work on site, where we have all the infrastructure here. So, for example, if you want to start producing tractors or 3D printers, or work with us where we actually go out into the community and do the builds, that's the idea. So basically the infrastructure is here. You would have access to it like through lease or other arrangements. So it's like an incubator. And in the other cases, it's like we'll hire you, but we prefer to work as partners for the
Right.
reason I believe that I think it's got the most freedom to the person who's working with us, and it has the most growth potential for the movement as a whole. So that we provide the services of training, we've got the branding and quality control. Like if you want to work under our label, we can do that. Otherwise, people are welcome to go off on their own. But the whole purpose of this is to learn the collaborative mindset that you're saying, oh yeah, it's actually better that we collaborate. And then the idea was 50% of the time we do work. Like if we got to build a house, okay, we're building a house, we got a client. That's the main thing. The Seat Eco Home is our main product release right now.
Right.
So we build it. Because we're super efficient at it, that provides enough revenue that we can then use that to sustain the R&D efforts that we do. So it's all about, we're continuing the product development afterwards. But does that kind of does that explain it? Like the kind of working relationship? It's really like we're expecting to have a lot of clients for the Seat Eco Home. The graduates of the program, we are going to be the builders. Depending what level you step into, you can learn, okay, I'm just going to be a builder. I'm going to build.
Right.
Or I'm going to learn enough to run build crews, or learn enough to organize like a whole build. In other words, You get a client, we can forward clients to you. That's going to be an option. You actually lead the whole process, not us, or you're not just a builder or a person who runs crews. You can step up at different levels, from builder to enterprise to organization. Does that make sense?
Right. So when you finish when you graduate, you want to set up your own organization, and you can kind of, if you kind of think about what you want to do or how something can be done during the training, you can come out with that idea and work on that. Otherwise, you can further OSE as a company and as a group or movement with your own business and your own work.
We definitely like to have people on site, because the way we're looking at kind of the replication model is building a large number of the facilities, the whole campuses, which have the education, research and development, the agriculture. It's like a university campus.
Yeah.
Mixture of a university campus, an eco-tech park, factory, farm, and all that. It's literally a working community. I think the best example is just simple university, because the university has a lot of different things happening. Like, you've got your cafeteria, you've got food. They don't grow their food, but they've got definitely got R&D and teaching. They don't have much for production, but we do. That's the facility is, it's a land-based facility. So you want to make compressed earth block. We got tons of soil underneath our site, so you actually can do the sustainable management of resources that. So it's really like a global village. Idea is to replicate many of these worldwide.
Right.
Right. But first, what you want to do is you want to get an amazing example of the first one. So for the first cohort of people, stay with us, make this work, develop the enterprise model, that where all the independent partners, it's like a real life, except there's a closer economic connection between the people. It's basically take the village of 500 years ago in the dark ages and take that into the digital age. Like, what would that village look like? Modern technology, global collaboration, innovative financial arrangements and structures made possible by digital currencies and the fact of digital production, like digitizing the thing. Idea that now you have a digital model, and that's almost as good as reality, pending your ability to actually produce the thing. But the main missing thing is, like, right now, I don't know how people are aware of this, but I think most people think that, oh, well, why are you reinventing the wheel? Like, a tractor, it's like, isn't that like open source already? Well, no, like, you can get a lot of crap design, but no, like, none of the best stuff is open source. Like, the missing link right now is by far design. After all, like, that's why you have the whole patent system and all that. It's all to keep that under wraps. So we're all collaborating on the design part. Once you have that, that's just the most amazing, powerful, generative kernel that you can replicate one of these facilities. And we're thinking, like, if we've got a whole bunch of people here, think about this. Like, we taught, so first cohort of 24. Well, we got now 100 or even 1,000 maybe at this facility. I mean, we're going to take over the economy of this town pretty soon.
Wow.
But that's not.
You mean in Missouri, right?
Yeah, but I mean, it's like, I'm not bragging anything or like trying to intimidate the locals here. It's just the idea we are going to have profound economic impact by providing jobs. I already ran into some really cool kids that we're starting to talk about. They're serious about, okay, they just discovered us, some locals, and they're like, okay, we want to produce tractors. So that's how it's going to happen. People are going to get trained. People are going to start production of things locally. And if we have not fundamentally uplifted this economy here, then we're just talking. We're supposed to be able to do that. That's the kind of economic power we're after. That we can change the economy thoroughly, uplifting it into amazing productivity, and thereby close the whole social schisms and the divides that are happening right now. Political divide, so as well.
So just uplift everyone in general, like you were saying, the community around.
So the idea is for what happens after you graduate. Well, I would like people who have the opportunity to learn the skills and get them. Well, they'll be extremely valuable to us. collaborate with us. We have the facility here that we can keep evolving and making accessible to people who know how to use it, and
Right.
creative arrangements with that. And for some people, like if I don't know, if like the worst, I would say the worst case scenario is we'll just hire you to build houses or to run crews. That's kind of backup plan. Uh, Talking about like the employee relationship, which is, I don't like it. I don't like the idea of creating employees. I want to create capable people who are independent, financial independence, not employees. That's a bad mindset.
Right.
Yeah. Because I just don't feel it provides the kind of freedom that a person deserves. So I think about that a lot, because I mean, that kind of topic of the schools just churning out employees, that's not a right thing for schools to be doing.
You're exactly right. I mean, that's exactly how I feel now. I mean, I just
Yeah.
I go in and I go out, and you probably can already tell from talking to me and from other people that is the main problem. It's like, okay, but I going here, but what am I supposed to do afterward? Like, do I have a job? Like, the point is, you create your own job, you create your own financial independence and your own wealth, and really your own life and your success.
Yeah, but definitely collaborate. Don't go out on your own.
Right.
Collaborate with us so that we can make the products that you're doing better, and therefore that helps us, so everybody wins. And the thing that you have to notice there, it's like, that's not a finite thing. It's like, if we solve the problems of production, we have the next issue of evolution to worry about. Don't worry about like, oh, the market's going to be too small. No, we evolve, we constantly grow,
Right.
and then that's how we move forward. It's not a scarcity mindset. It's like, collaborate, because then you can get farther, and then you can talk about going to Mars or whatever, things like that if you want to, but about very ambitious things. But until we learn to collaborate, we can't talk about more ambitious things.
Plenty of problems to worry about here, right with us now than somewhere else, right?
Yeah, it's really about, I mean, the way we're pitching, it's like, work with us, and then, yes, we make our living, but we're working explicitly. Like, there's a world problem in the world, we work on solving it. That's our job description. I solve global problems. Like, we're gonna solve housing as a start.
Right.
So
For
that's how
the
we
first
roll.
thing, the easiest thing and probably the most crucial thing, food.
Yeah,
And
it's a big one. It's the number one cost in anyone's life. It's a big deal to solve that, make that better for everybody. Yeah. So anyway,
all right. I think that was everything I had. So so what are the next plans for the campus, or for OSE? What do you need most right now? Like, what are you working toward now, specifically with OSE in
campus,
general?
people wise.
Campus wise. So people wise, I guess you're trying to get people in, and you're building
Yeah.
your market base, and then you'll have people that can come in and assist with the builds once you're ready, and that's coming up really
Well,
soon.
campus-wise, yeah, we're building another workshop and more infrastructure for living. So we've got the 4,000 square foot workshop right now. We're going to build another one before September. So we've got pretty rapid build techniques we can use. It's going to be solar, but yeah, infrastructure building so that we can house and accommodate more people. Yeah, right now the house we have, we can hold about 20 people total. Right now we're just growing that. More infrastructure, more classrooms, and get the internet completely, get this whole place interneted and hooked up better for broadcasting with cameras in different locations. So that's part of that. Okay, so I've got our next.
Oh, you have another interview? Or
sorry, say it again.
Oh, you this someone else?
Yeah. I've got another interview for the OSE Apprenticeship, right?
Okay.
As well.
That's everything. I don't want to run over the time or anything. So thanks for hearing me out. Thanks for taking the time to talk with me, and I think I'll be seeing you soon. I just have to get the logistics ready, and we'll be ready to go.
Excellent.
All right.
Okay.
Take care.
Well, good to talk to you. Take care.